sports. And so you must be prepared for battle. So anybody that thinks, you see, sales is a kind of profession whereby you need to roll up your sleeves. It's like warfare because you're dealing with different sets of people. You know, I told a client one day, and I said, look, and I'll explain it in the next slide. Now, why am I saying this? You see, there's an aspect of sales, they call it inbound sales, which is where people just sit behind either a phone, computer, and all of that. I've also, I don't know if anybody has faced, maybe you have in your sales team, you have a salesperson that doesn't like to go out, you know, and believes he can do everything over the phone. And yes, there's a part to it, but the mindset and the orientation is that you must be prepared for battle, because sales is a contact sport. So if you are not engaging, if you are not in contact with clients, with people, with referrals, with whatsoever, you won't be able to make sales. It's very, very key, because it takes contacts to win sales. So one of the things, and of course, this is not just going to be a monologue, it's a dialogue. So one of the things off the curve, and one of the things I'll just appeal, please have your pen, paper. Of course, you can pause, you can signify by raising of hands if you have any question. So one of the things you need to have as you are entering 2023 is that who are the contacts that will generate your revenue this year? How are you engaging them? So number one, sales is a contact sport. Number two thought I just want to share is this. And why am I saying this? When I do retreats, you hear people spend so much time doing competitive analysis. But what I tell them is that the competition is not your problem. You see, competition, because you see, when people have a mindset that is competition oriented, what happens is that they drop the ball, and also they begin to go into what I call an excuse mode. Because of the competition, I can't achieve. And so when somebody says, is it that the competition is not a problem? I said, yes, it's part. But the truth is that once there's a competition, it's an evidence that there's an opportunity. Because if there's no opportunity, competition would not come in. I am consulting for a maritime company. And, you know, one of the things is that they didn't react quickly. As at when they started business in that sector, because they are in the premium sector of that sector, they play in the premium class. As at when they started, there were about 23 of them, 23 players. As at the last count, in that sector, at that premium class, there are 58. So I told them that it shows that for competition to come to this class, it means that there is an opportunity. So, but what I want to say here is that the competition, so in case somebody here, there's nothing wrong with doing competitive analysis, don't get me wrong. But the truth is, don't make the competition as if we are not achieving our goals because of the competition. And one thing I noticed in the few retreats I facilitated over the past couple of months is that certain times when they do competition and competitive analysis, I will ask them this question. I said, this competitor that you put there, for him to be a competitor, it means that he also recognizes you as a competitor. And they were a particular microfinance bank, mid-sized microfinance bank. The MD said, what do you mean? I said, these banks you put here, when they have their meetings, are they mentioning your own bank? And the man said, no. I said, then they are not your competition. Your competitor is the one that is mentioning your name. I hope you get that. Then finally, my final thought, and why we're having this class is this, is, are you busy or are you productive? Are you busy or are you productive? One of the things we need to ensure is that in this year, we need to eliminate busyness and be productive. Most times, people you heard that slogan, oh, I was busy, I was busy, I was busy. The key thing is, what have you achieved? So I tell my team, my colleagues, associates, I said this year the focus is on being productive. There's something I adopted recently, which is ruthless prioritization. If it doesn't fall into my priority list, I don't bother about it. It's why? Because I want to be productive. So for now, for me currently, oh, this is the best use of my time at this point in time. So the other thing is this. So let's go into why we do sales strategy. Please, if you have any question, you could put it in the chat box and we'll try to address. And we must understand what is basically a sales strategy. And it's this in a nutshell. It's simply the goals we choose and the actions we take to achieve these goals. So two things are critical. What is your goal for 2023? And what are the actions? Because it's one thing, and that's why most times when we do retreats, we don't just live with objectives. We live with what is the tactics. How are you going to achieve them? And that's why the first output of a sales strategy is around revenue. Okay, how are we going to be measured? Who are our customers we are targeting, the sales team and all that. But you see, if you capture only that, the sales strategy is just halfway. In this 2023, what are your initiatives to achieve for effectiveness and efficiency? What are the initiatives that you are driving? Because that's what complements a sales strategy. What are the goals and what are the actions? Lots of time people come and say, oh, I want to do A, B, C. The truth is, like now, yes, certain people here, you go to churches and all that, and you always hear that slogan, it's my year of this, it's my year of that. I don't know if anybody can type, what is your year? What is 2023 declared? But the truth is that what are the actions that you are going to put in place to ensure that it's going to be your year of what is being promised? People at times don't add, and that's why a sales strategy is not just a document, which I'll explain as I go along. It must align. Now, what else does a sales strategy try to address? And this is the key thing. So you see there are two sides. How do you get customers to buy your stuff? And so it's two sides of the equation. Now, when you look at these two sides, and that's why it's very key, the ability to be able to capture, the ability for you to really know who your target customers are. And how do you know who your target customers are? That's on the other side. Price, service, and your products. That is another critical element, is that the product, your service, and price. Now, let me say some things about price here in terms of strategy. Sometimes I'm sure you've heard that thing that, sell the product, the product should be able to sell itself. But in my experience in the Nigerian market, price is a key differentiator. And why do I say that? Because you see, once you set a price, you have somehow eliminated certain people. One of the challenges of salespeople I've noticed is that they are pitching their business and products before people that cannot afford it. I remembered a couple of, I think 2 years ago, a lady came to me because we do some coaching, mentoring, SME for SME people. And she said, oh, that she has so much money outside. Two particular ladies I remember. Now, this lady deals in hair products. And so she said she has lots of inventory outside. And I laughed. I said, how much do you sell your wigs? And because I looked at her, I said, okay. I said, do you know that anybody that bought this wig? I said, they're your friends, right? She said, yes. I said, how much do your friends earn? And she said the amount. I laughed. I said, you see, your friends bought something they cannot afford. And I said, you have to move out of that circle, not going away from them, but you have to go to a circle that can afford it. Just like a lady who, she does bags and she complained. And she said, oh, that, she posts this thing on her WhatsApp status and many people look at it, but she's not making sales. I said, how much are the bags? She said 9,000 naira. I said, do you know who can afford a 9,000 naira bag? And we did the math. Somebody that earns like 90,000, because it's like 10%. I said, how many people that are your friends earn 90,000? Less than 10%. I said, so what is happening is that the people viewing it, they like the bag, they are claiming the bag, but they can't afford it. So what am I saying here? Please, in this year, one of the things I told in terms of what we do in ruthless prioritization, we don't deal with time wasters. because there's a cost in dealing with time wasters. So one of the things is that in your pricing, I'll give you a classic case. Let me use Ikeja GRA as an example. For those that know Ikeja, there's this street called Isaac John, and there's a street called Joy Ogunake. It has hotels. Now, if you come into Isaac John, you see the former Protea Hotel. If you go for lunch there, it's 13,800. Wow. The truth is that 5 minutes walk, I mean, if you just have rice, beans, plantain, or whatsoever, you pay 13,800 in Protea. A 5 minutes walk, it brings you to a eatery called Chicken Republic. If you enter Chicken Republic, you can eat the rice and chicken for 1,800. If you move down that same street, you go to a place called Yellow Chili. In Yellow Chili, that same meal goes for like 4,500. If you go three buildings down, you get to a hotel called Saffron. Saffron, that same food you ate could go for like about 7,600. Opposite Saffron, if you cross, you're going to enter Marriott's Hotel, Lagos Marriott. That same meal you ate in Saffron that was 7,500, it's 18,300 plus tax. Now, what am I saying? Is that the same kind of meal but different prices. Why? They have different customers. And that is why you must look at your product and service. You see, one of the things in sales is that you cannot be emotional about selling. So I don't position myself before people that can't afford me. It's a waste of time. I can position myself before people that can refer me, but people that want me but can't afford me, I don't waste time positioning. Why? Because the law of prospecting is there's a concept called MAD, M-A-D. What is MAD? Money to buy, authority to buy, and desire to buy. So when I give a classic case and I'll move on from here. There was this, we did some level of jobs in Ibadan. And they were like, look, so we sat down with them for like 2 days. And in terms of traffic, they had traffic, but they didn't have revenue. Why? Because the people who came into the mall were just snapping pictures and doing selfie and doing window shopping. So I told them, yes. Did you really do your analysis? Your analysis was not complete. You looked at population. You didn't look at affordability. I hope I'm making some sense, but let's move on. So please, if you have questions and all that. So the other thing I would just like to explain here is why are we doing sales? And this is where it is. You say sales strategy is defined as a documented plan. And that's why for every organization or everyone on this platform, do you have a documented plan? Not just, and that's why you see the statistics. Many people have their goals in their head. Sorry, there are people with no goals. They finished the retreat and they've forgotten everything that was discussed in the retreat. They don't have any goals. They only wait. I'm sure your organization does MPROs. And that's why you see people, they just panic. Oh, it's MPRO. And after MPRO means monthly performance review meeting. And after the MPRO, they come out and they forget about what happened, not knowing that is another circle towards another MPRO. Sometimes people have goals in their heads. I'm sure if I ask anybody here, do you know your goal for this year? People will give it. But you see, it's not documented. You see, why do you need to document it? So that there's retention, the ability to go back. And so I said here, a sales strategy is defined as a documented plan for positioning and selling your products or service in a way that differentiates you. And like someone said, he said, salespeople who live by goals know where they are headed. Now, let me say some things about my experience in selling. And of course, we have Dr. Olubodi here. But this is what I've seen about doing business in Nigeria. This is what I've seen about doing business in Nigeria. Number one, you must have access to power. And you see, it's very, very important. So ask yourself, where am I struggling? Because this will help you. All of us here basically deal in the Nigerian environment. What access to power do I have? Let me explain what access to power is. I've seen something in Nigeria. The main people that bring business are called generators. Generators are the ones that call the shots. They have a budget. That is why sometimes, I don't know who has experienced that in a shop. And, the husband is at the counter and the wife shows up with something in her trolley. And the man says, oh, we can't buy this one. And the woman goes back with it. It shows you where there's power. So what is access to power for you? Do you have access to decision makers? Who are those that own the budgets? Because it's key. Now, the other thing is this. Oh, Mr. Briggs, I don't really have access to the CEO. I don't really have access to the CFO. Oh, I don't, I'm not positioned properly. Fine. But you see, apart from the generators, there are also people we call influencers. Who are the influencers? The influencers are people that can make the generators make a decision in your favor. So what am I saying here? You must have access to power, and that's why networking is key. That's why how you position, how you brand, how you are perceived is very, very important. You must, and I'll try to show something that addresses this. Number two is that you must have access to information. How informed are you? I mean, someone called me, I don't know if she's on this platform already, and she's like, look, we have a good product, but we are not selling. And you see, the truth is that why are you not selling? She said, we have even reduced our price, but we are not selling. So what was missing there? What does the market want? You see, Nigeria is like any global market. It's not about what you offer. It's about what the market wants. And how do you know what the market wants? Is information. Information. So the key thing, and you see, most times I see this with salespeople. You see, if you're going to be a successful salesperson, you cannot afford to be mentally lazy. There are sometimes I wake up in the morning, I just go through news, check sites. What am I doing? I'm just doing information crawling because I need information. And number three is there's what I call proof opportunity. What is proof opportunity? Proof opportunity is that you see in Nigeria, I tell people in Nigeria, perception is reality. So that's why you see a lot of people talk about packaging and all of that. And the key thing about this is that people want to see, oh, who is aligned with you? Who are you with? And all of that. And so that's why I tell people that referral is the biggest strategy you have to build. I remembered once I was doing a training for an oil company. And so, well, for me, I'm a very unassuming person. So I just noticed that in the class, they were like, oh, they were just like, let's just hear this guy, and all of that. I don't like blowing my trumpet. So I'm very unassuming. So next thing I just said, I said, one of the very calm places, serene places you can be in this world is the villa. I now described how when you get into the villa, how the palm trees are arranged. I talked about the landscape, the way to Buhari's house, the garden of the VP. I mean, the class was quiet. And I mean, from them on, they became attentive. Why? I didn't need to do that. But you see, in Nigeria, there is this thing about proof opportunity. I know a particular bank, they do storytelling sessions. And what they do is that they call it their Hall of Fame. And so when they get certain big accounts, the person that gets it does a bit of a storytell and all that, so that when their other colleagues are going out, they use that proof opportunity strategy. So one of the ways, because you see, why you don't sell is credibility. Credibility is always a barrier to selling. And so for you to break down that credibility, you have to prove opportunity. In real estate, some people use it. They get certain people and all that. But like something I'll just say, I said the keys to successful business interaction in Nigeria. And so these three things are things you need to ask yourself. Are you adaptable? We're looking at still strategy analysis. Are you adaptable? Are you flexible? Do you have patience? Then I will go to this, because why do we need a strategy? Now, everybody knows this person. He's the Africa richest person. The picture you see was taken 24 hours after Jonathan Goodluck has accepted the election results in 2015. And there was a statement when they interviewed Dangote, and he said this. He said, I'm a friend with any government in power. I am an entrepreneur. And as a businessman, you should have friends from all the places. And he said something, we don't take sides. The success of my business is affected by the stability of government. I mean, this is Africa's richest man. Now, the truth is that what is your own strategy? So you see, what he tells us here is that what gives me competitive advantage is government affinity. So what is your own strategy? This is Africa's richest man. So that is why you must take, I mean, he was able and explicit. He could say it in clear terms. I'm a friend to any government in power. So it talks about positioning. It talks about relationship. So when you have your sales strategy, what is the relationship component? And that's why I said we must build initiatives. So let me bring up this, because as we wind down and we look at what are the components of a sales strategy. Number one here I have is something called sales objectives. What is sales objectives? You see, a sales objective it's basically where people are, most times people look at what's that thing called? People look at revenue. But the reality is that everybody can know, oh, I mean, every retreat I went to, what's your revenue target for this year? Oh, 650 million, 1 billion, and all of that. Nothing wrong. But the truth is that apart from that, what are you going to do to achieve that revenue objective? That is what sales objectives are. You can say, oh, my target is 1.2 billion. The reality is that what will it take for you to get 1.2 billion? Oh, we need to increase our customer base by 15%. Why am I saying this? Most times, why I see that salespeople don't meet target is that they carry the whole target. Oh, Mr. Briggs, my target for this month, bank people, 3 billion. Oh, my target as a salesperson, 250 million this year. Where am I going to get it from? But you see, what does sales objectives helps you to do? It helps you break it down into chunks so that you have a strategy to work with. So if I know that, look, Mr. Briggs, my target for this year is 475 million. I look at it and I said, okay, who can give me 475 million? I do my maths. I said, oh, Briggs, realistically, if I can get 20 people to give me 20 million, that's 400 million. Oh, the other 75. Oh, so my sales objective is, I put it there, 20 people, 25 people that can give me 20 million. Why? Because it has to be a stretch goal. I won't be targeting 475. I'll actually be targeting like 600 million. So I said, look, I need 30 clients who can give me 30 million and 20 million each. When you do that, it becomes actualized. You can actualize it. So I don't know how you have it over there. There's sales objectives. Number two is the target market. I don't want to spend too much time. But you see, you must really drill down on who are your target audience. Don't say, oh, this person, what are the criteria? In our consulting business, we don't go for clients that owe beyond a certain payment cycle. We don't go for them. They are not our target market. They might be good businesses, but we don't go for them. Why? Because payment for us in our consulting is key. So I won't do a job that, oh, I'll be running around for 120 days looking for payment. So those companies are good companies, but they are not in my target market because we have a criteria, payment. We have another criteria, which is there's different criteria that gives you an idea of who is your target market. Number 3 there is, I won't bother about it, but you know what your products are. But what I tell people this is that it's not just knowing the product. Oh, I walk in, advertising, we are brand agents and all of that. No, the truth is that you must know what that product does for the customer. So it's not just product knowledge. It's what are the benefits of using your service, of using your product. Because you see, when you engage a customer with product knowledge, you don't get the sale. One day someone entered a supermarket, and this was then they have canvassers and all that. And I mean, it was Ikeja Mall. I was behind the guy. So this lady was standing at the section they sell detergents. So a man picked up her detergent and said, and picked up another one and just said, oh, why should I buy your detergent? And guess what the lady said? Ah, it's a very good one. Obviously, the man dropped her own. Yeah, she didn't have anything to say. And so that's why you see, that's where the part of training comes in. I mean, a company sends people, they call them canvassers. Go and tell people, persuade people to buy the product. But she didn't understand the benefits of that product to the customer. Number 4 has to deal with what are the competitive advantages. Now, let me explain why competitive advantages are key. Everybody wants to do client acquisition. But the truth is that if you understand your competitive advantage, one thing it does for you is that it reduces client acquisition cost. If you understand your competitive advantage, meaning that you know where to play, who to play with, and all of that. So it's going to reduce your client acquisition cost. And so it's your competitive advantage. Now, let me say the 15. 15 deals with your tactics, which is your route to markets. I don't have time to talk really about it, but let me explain. I'll just give an example about routes. How do you engage customers? Is it your website, Instagram handle, meetings, trade fairs, and all that? You must have a route to market. What are the channels? What channels are you using to engage people? I'll give a story of we did a work with they manufacture alcoholic beverages, and so I was sitting with them in Asaba and Onitsha actually, and so we wanted to penetrate a particular state. And you see, in FMCG, which is fast moving consumer goods, some states have who I call principalities, meaning they have some distributors, they own that state. So I told the chairman, I said, look, penetrating this state is that you see, this man, this key distributor is already like a partner in our competitor's firm. It will be difficult to penetrate. And you now ask, so how do we go about it? And this is route to market. I said we need to adopt what I call the drone effect. What is the drone? The drone is where you fly under the radar. So do you know what I said? I said, okay, sir, you know what? Call this key distributor. Tell him that he should come and buy a trailer load of your products. We made it attractive to him. We gave him at a price, at a good discount. Of course, the company did not make losses. Then I said, also say you do 50% of logistics cost. And guess the caveat we added? We said we are going to bring along 2 of our staffs to help in making sure that there's a quick turnaround for these products. But somebody asked me, so Mr. Briggs, what was the route to market? The route to market was these 2 people we sent. Because you see, the job of those 2 people was basically to spy on who and build a database of who are the people we need to engage, who are the people that come to buy these products from him. And that was how that company penetrated that state. So what am I saying? It's not just about your goals. What are the tactics you want to deploy? 6 is how will you go about it? 7 is resources and skill. Now, one of the things I always tell people in sales, you must ask yourself, you must do a sales skill audit on yourself. Where are the areas you need improvement? You need to there's something called a brutal self-evaluation, which is where are the areas you need to improve on? Where are the areas you need to say, oh, we need to work on this area? As an organization once, one of the things, I think a couple of years ago, we did an analysis. And we found out that we're too nice. And so we allowed emotions becloud our decision making. And so we had to put in a kind of a training to be like, oh, we had to be firm. We had to be resilient. We did a negotiation training for ourselves called the ability to say no. Because we were always saying yes, and at the end, we were not meeting the numbers. We had to do a program for ourselves called the ability to say no. And what that meant was that once we said no, it meant that we had to go look for another opportunity. So you must look at selling. And what's number 8, finally, is that what is sales management? What are your KPIs? How do you have in your weekly meetings? I mean, in a company we're doing some level of consulting with, we changed their weekly meeting agenda because the weekly meetings became discussions of the past week. It was historical data. So we changed it and we said, no, latest Friday or anything, Friday, 6 p.m., you must have submitted your report. We created a template and it identified what was that. So the Monday meetings became action meetings. Oh, we saw your report this day. So this and this and this is what we're doing for this week. And it was captured. So that's what sales management is. Sales management is how do you bridge the gap between the actual or the targeted and reality. Between the actual or targeted and reality. So how do you bridge it? So you're going to look at team structures and all of that. I don't know if anybody has any question, but I hope I'm making some sense. Now, this brings me to the other part in sales strategy. This has to do a lot with brainstorming. You know, and there are 2 parts. And if you look at this, the main thing has to deal with customers. Who are you aiming to sell to? What problems do you solve? Yes, we'll be able to send this. You could drop your email. I know some of the people here, but you could send it also as an email. You could send a direct message. You know, what will be a successful solution and all of that. The key thing here is what is the message are we passing across? Messaging is key. Messaging is key. How are we going to engage the prospects? You know, I do a bit of public sector. And you see, one of the interesting things of public sector is that for you to survive public sector, you need to be informal. What do I mean by informal? So you must create time for social visits. Oh, Mr. Briggs, this person is being turbaned as an ML. Oh, you show up. Oh, Mr. Briggs, this person had a baby. You show up. Why? Because it's public sector. It is how they engage. However, in certain private sector, I won't mention the sector, when you do 1 or 2 of that, it's like, oh, what's up with Mr. Briggs? He's getting too familiar. So you must know, so ask yourself, how are you engaging? I know somebody doing so well. She only has, the only social media platform she's on is on Instagram. She's only on Instagram. Thank you, Joel Singh. You know, it's only on Instagram. Why? Because that's where her market is. So she only engages people. I mean, she does what she does in healthcare, but she's only on Instagram. So while some other people will come and say, oh, you need to be on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, what's the 4th one? Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Oh, you need to be on all of them. No, you need to find out where are your customers? How can you engage them? But you see, these are questions you're asking. You know, one of the things I said is access to information. So what do you really know about your customers? Normally in our retreat, we had this game we call 555. But you know, one thing I put here, I said, do an analysis. Who are your 10 top clients currently? Now, if you are a startup, you don't have a customer. The truth is, who are the 10 people you are targeting? Then what do you do for your customers? You know, there's a client I have today, and somebody came and said, Mr. Briggs, it's an engineering firm. And I look, he said, it was a staff that called me. And I said, what happened? He said, they took a company, another firm. There was something they wanted to do, and they took another firm to the MD. That the MD just said, have you called Briggs? And she said, no. And the guy just threw away the proposal. He said he was in a meeting. I said, will you go and call Mr. Bishop? Don't worry, I just called. That I know that the MD will mention this case to me, but I should just manage, because it was like, now, what do I do for this client? I will explain one. This client will come a long way. And I remembered when his child wanted to school in the UK. We sat down, we analyzed the school, we sat down, there were different things. So it wasn't just the services I provide. I was also involved in the MD's personal family life. So if you're selling certain services, you need to ask yourself, what do you do for the customer? What do you do that makes you stand out? Why would, there's this client I have, and sometimes when I go to his office, he's like, Mr. Briggs, I hope you're not in a hurry, because I know he wants to discuss things that are just like, look, I need your advice on this, I need your advice on that. So you as a person, what benefits are you bringing? Then for the customers you have lost, you need to find out, why did they leave? Was it because of price? Was it because of value? And all of that. Okay. I hope this is self-explanatory. If you have any questions. So let me run and deal a bit with this. So why do we do sales audit? And I will explain certain things here. For any organization to succeed, you need to have these things in place. You need to have your processes. There was an organization we went to, and the mentality of the sales team was around, we are selling. There is no process. I asked them, how do you look for business? They could not say. They go out, we use referrals. I said, okay, how do you know where to go to? They couldn't answer. What that showed is that they didn't have a sales process. Please, I appeal to everyone here, develop a sales process. It will capture your goals. I put something here called ICP. I've mentioned it before. ICP is around what is called your ideal customer profile. Have a customer. This is the kinds of customers we are looking for. What is TAM? TAM is totally addressable markets. Why do I put it here? Some companies are struggling today because in that sector, what they are targeting, that sector cannot give them. Like, let me use insurance. There are some insurance companies today, all they do is just auto insurance. Auto insurance. That's all they do. So now, imagine another insurance company that is doing life and every other thing. The truth is that these guys that are just doing auto insurance have somehow reduced the addressable market in that space. So that's why you need a sales process. We've talked about sales tactics. Now, one other critical thing in the sales strategy analysis is your workforce performance. There's a particular organization, and we did some work, doing some work with them. And by the time we started, the performance was not external. The performance was internal. How? The national sales manager was having issues with the area managers. Now, what was the bone of contention? A national sales manager, he comes, he goes to visit them in the region. And so they take him to the key accounts. And in the process of engaging the key accounts, when deals close, he puts it as he was the one that helped them close it. So the area managers stopped highlighting accounts they were working on. So it caused some conflict. So that's where your team, and that's the same thing. If you don't have, one of the things is this, if you don't have a collaborative work environment, performance will drop. Then sales metrics, how you measure them. We got a new person in and we had to put in certain parameters. Okay, we said, yes, you are behind the person. These are the number of calls you would make a day. These are what we are looking out for in those calls and all that. So you must have sales metrics. Then you see the trend of business is changing. The platform, people I'm sure are from different parts of Lagos, outside Lagos on this call. But the truth is that what am I using? I'm using technology. So for you as an organization, what technology are you adopting? What technology? It's very, very key. Now, I'll just dovetail into this, and I know I've said so much, so I'll just do a little exercise. Let me be sure people are still there. And the question is this: how many squares can you see? So you can please put it on the chat box. How many squares can you see? How many squares can you see? You can just put it down on the chat box, and how many squares can you see? Yeah, okay. 16. Okay. How many squares can you see? Yeah, Fido says 16 also. Wow. Annette says 17. Okay. Yeah. Olayinka says 17. Chioma says 16. How many squares can you see? Is there any other person? Kolawole, 32. Wow. Kolawole says he can see 32. Wow. Bumi says he sees 27. ID says she sees 20. Oh, yes, Uche, 20 now. But somebody is seeing 27. Okay. I think somebody, yeah, Dr. Lubodi says he sees 21. Ah, Plenty Plus Home says you see 23. Jaire is back to 16. Interesting. Now you see, oh, Uche, you've changed it to 21. From 16 to 20, now to 21. Yeah, Olale, your hand is up. Can you unmute your mic if you want to say something? Oh, Kolawole says it's even 33. Wow. Interesting. Now why am I bringing this, and how does this align to sales? You see, sales is people have different perspectives. So you must be able to persuade, because you see, I'll give you a classic case. I mean, Kolawole sees 33 and Uche sees 21. Now, Uche, if Uche is like the manager and Kolawole is like the assistant, you know there will be friction, because Uche will be like, it's only 21 here. I don't know. Oh, ID, you're saying you see 32. The reality is this, and that's why sales is key. Sales is causing an alignment. This is not a physical program. Normally, we'll have said, oh, you that saw 33 could have brought Kolawole to the front of the class and to explain to us how he's seen 33. And that's what sales is. So you see, your strategy is around messaging. Your strategy is around how do you get people to align. And sometimes that's why we're going to do some things on sales objection, because this is where objection comes in. You say, oh, the customer says, you say, this thing, we can do it for you for 33. And the customer says, no, what I want to pay is 21. So let's run as we're wrapping up this thing. So I brought this thing, I wanted to explain some things, because a question was like, what do we need to put in place? Wow, Kolawole 34. What do we need to put in place for us to achieve what we want? What are the principles of sales? And for me, the first thing is you must identify your growth factors. What are your growth factors? Value, vision, capabilities, strategy, and resources. I don't have time to really talk about this. But like, I'll give a classic case. Recently, we did a training for an organization, and I asked them, I said, what's your revenue target for the year? And they said 650 million. And I told people to take a piece of paper and write what they see. Averagely, what people saw was 285 million. So imagine if they started the year, the MD would have been shouting. Why? So I had to tell him, I said, you need to do a vision casting session where there's an alignment. In your strategy, what capabilities do you have? One day somebody said public sector. I said, public sector, if you're in Lagos, they can call you and say, come to Abuja tomorrow morning for 10. I said, do you have that capability? What are your strategies? Do you have the resources? You must know your growth factors. There's a musician, I don't like him personally, but I like his strategy. I'm sure some of us know him. His name is called Portable. You know of Portable. Why do I like Portable? For me is one musician I admire his strategy. Because you see, when he sang that song with Olamide, Portable is what you call unrefined. And if you notice when he brought out that hit track with Olamide, I remember that year, Portable was literally in that Echo Hotel access for like 2 weeks. During December, there are back-to-back shows between Echo Hotel, Muriel Konla, and Echo Atlantic City. He was featured on all those shows. But he's not refined. I mean, you could hear when I think Whiskey gave him $3,000, he said his manager gave him 300, all those kinds of things. So what happened is that the big guys removed their hands from him. But you see, Portable is still existing. Why? Because he understood his capabilities. So he doesn't pitch with the big people. He pitches with what you call the gutter crowd. And Portable has gone to do a show in Germany. And that's why I also like Obi Kubana. Obi Kubana is ambassador for Udogu Bitters. And who does he go get? Portable. Why? Because who are the people that take Udogu Bitters? The people that like Portable. So what am I saying here? Have you sat down before you talk strategy to identify what your growth factors are? Because you see, no matter how good your strategy is, you need resources to drive them. Okay. Questions? I'll skip this, but I'll talk about this. The other thing is that you must identify what model you are using. Your model determines how the strategy you're going to deploy. What is transaction? You see, transaction applies to the B2C. Who is B2C? Business to consumer or customer. So it's product driven. You put the product, customer buys, it goes off. It's transaction. They're not interested in any relationship. It's not there, but you can position sometimes for repeat business. So it's the same thing. They just buy and they move on. It's just like you buy bread. Oh, why do you buy this bread? It's the bread I like. Now you can make sure that bread becomes what people look out for. But you need to know, and that's why in transactional business model, price is key. I remember there was this bread I like eating, Butterburst. Until Butterburst became $9.50, I began looking for alternatives. Why? So even though I like Butterburst, just spending 1,000 naira on a bread wasn't attractive. Why? My relationship with Butterburst is transaction. Now, there's another model called affiliate. What is affiliate? Affiliate is a business that you do that is relationship driven. Meaning that, it's partners, there are people, but I work with partners. I work with partners. I work with partners. So what does that mean for you in your sales strategy? How do you grow the partnership hub? And also, how do you do retention of the partnership hub? The other model is consultative. Now, if somebody is into event planning and all of that, it's consultative. How? Architectural engineering are consultative business models. Why? If you do event planning, the truth is that the person will call you, tell you this is the kind of event I'm hosting, and there is a discussion. You will say, okay, this is what we'll do, this is what we'll do. You do like even a dry run, a dry rehearsal. Yes, we'll make the drapes red. The woman says, no, it's 60th. My favorite color is purple. So what am I saying? If you are in a business that requires consultativeness, you need to improve your communication. So it's not going to be, in consultative business, sometimes it's not really about you. I remember once an architect was telling me a story of when they finished the design, the man's wife was like, oh, I would like a penthouse. And I also want like a lift to take us to the penthouse. I mean, the man has finished the design. And she turned and said, is it possible? And the man said, yes, we'll have to make modifications. If the man has said, oh, you see, if we have to do that, we'll be breaking this. You see, consultative business is where you know that it depends on what the client wants. When he says jump, you ask how high. Now, what is enterprise? Enterprise is really the B2B business. Now, what am I saying? Because you see, in B2B business, you have gatekeepers, you have influencers, you have the economic. You see, when you do business to business, that's when you know that every organization has a formal organogram and an informal organogram. So you have to take note of the different stakeholders. It's enterprise. I mean, there was a particular company we went to do something for. Who was, I mean, in this particular company, the person who is my coach or mentor is, if I use grade levels, it's like a grade level 10 officer. But you see, this person works in the director's office. So this person is my ear. I'm managing different people. And that's why when you deal an enterprise, you're doing business to business, you cannot network vertically. You also have to network horizontally. I have like 10 minutes and I'll be done. Let me put it down to 5 minutes so in case you have questions. But I hope it's been worth your time. I have to respect people's time. Now, the other thing has to deal with data. And you see, some organizations are data lazy, but you need data. There was a client we did a program, and I said, let's do a last year review. I said, what happened last year? They mentioned it. I said, so on the spot, I was like, okay, how many new clients did you get last year? And they were looking at each other, trying to come with, this person is new. And I just shook my head. And I was like, how can we have a retreat when we don't have the data of the past year? I asked, okay, how much did you make last year? They said it. I said, you have an analysis of how much each client gave you? They didn't have. So please, this year, don't joke with data. It helps you forecast the future. It helps you evaluate campaigns and strategy, measure performance. It helps you to make informed decisions. Now, this ties into what I said last year, because before you have these are the things that makes your sales strategy work. You look at last year's summary, you ask yourself, what channels produced my revenue? Was it online? Was it through emails? Was it through referrals? Was it because we posted something in the newspaper? Was it because we had a trade, went for trade fair? You must analyze. You see, and that's why you see the salesperson must be strategic. When you don't know which channels are your main revenue earner, you're going to spend time with time wasters. You're going to spend resources being in places like, I remember once I was at this event at Lagos Intercontinental Hotel. So I noticed one lady. I mean, she moved from table to table and she was sharing her cards. I sat where I was and I was just shaking my head. And so why? Because the truth is that they've taught her speed networking. But the truth in Nigeria, speed networking, I just call. I meet Uche. I meet Eniola. Oh, Eniola, my name is Briggs. I run sales training. I give him my card. I move to Olaleye. My name is Briggs. I give it. The truth is that as I'm giving Olaleye my card, is how he's dropping it on the floor. Why? Because I didn't cultivate the relationship. So when I go for events, I'm not too critical about, oh, how I sit. Who I sit next to for me is okay. If they are going to ask questions, I ask questions. Maybe we're going to get coffee, tea. I use this as an opportunity to just engage. It's not so, but some other people, oh, they are sharing flyers and all that. You must know what channel is most profitable to you. Then this is very key. Some organizations in Nigeria are not really adopting this, but you see, you must build your pipeline. What is a pipeline? A pipeline is basically a graphical view of where you are in your business. So we do some of this, build Excel sheets for clients. What are their leads? How many proposals are they going to do that year, that week? Who are the new customers they are targeting? Who are the new repeat customers? But you see, and let me show you just a dashboard to explain this further. Like this is a client we did, and you see, what is this dashboard? It has the organization they are prospecting. It has what they are selling. It has what stage in the process it is. Now, why am I saying this? I was talking to a gentleman. A gentleman was telling me a story of, because sometimes for salespeople, when they assume they have closed the deal, they go to rest. I mean, they have assurances. We'll do it. No, consider it done. And they look at it, they look at the figure. Ah, I've met my target. So the guy said when certain things changed in the account, it shook him. But the truth is that if he had this kind of a pipeline, he would have known that that deal is not won and delivered. That deal is just on 80%, which is a customer commitment, and anything can change. So why is a pipeline? You see, when you have a pipeline as a sales manager, you are able to direct the efforts. And even you as an individual, what you do is that you know where to put your efforts on. That is why it aids your sales strategy. These are the things that make, so that you look at, oh, yeah, we went somewhere I was doing something for a client, and we did something for territory managers and area managers. And the truth was that there was so much activity among them. But the truth is, by the time we began to put it in this pipeline, they found out that, look, they had so much work to do. They were in many of their accounts, they were just trying to enter. By the time they sat down to evaluate. So that's why we need a pipeline. Yeah. Let me skip this. Okay, I'm almost done. Why do I put a buyer's journey here? You must know how your customers come for you. So every customer comes through awareness. For everyone that is on this platform, it was basically you saw the flyer either on Instagram, Facebook, it was sent to you personally. So what happened is that, and that's why I tell people, and that's why you have brand people. If there is no awareness, and you don't get me wrong, there are certain services that you can say you don't know about them, but the reality is that they exist. How? They know who their customers are and they engage from that level. Let me give a classic case. I was in Dubai once and it struck me. I was near the Burj Khalifa, the fountain side, and in one of the malls there, exclusive malls near Amani, yes, Amani itself, they were doing a program. And when I got there, I saw a Rolls Royce parked there. I laughed. I mean, you don't see Rolls Royce in newspapers being advertised because even the few Rolls Royces we have in Nigeria, the people, they drive it for prestige. You don't see I don't know if anybody has seen a Rolls Royce advert on YouTube. They don't do that. So it got me thinking, why? Do they create awareness? They create awareness in their target audience because it's not anyhow people that buy Rolls Royce. So I've learned that Rolls Royce, I called somebody and he says, oh, Rolls Royce, they normally go and take up spaces at when people are doing private jet exhibitions. Private jet, yes. So anybody that can buy a private jet can buy a Rolls Royce. He said those are where Rolls Royce goes to position. But what am I saying here? Where are you, your target audience? How aware are they of you? It's part of those things you need in your sales strategy. The other thing is, how do you generate interest? How do you generate interest? We're trying to build this sales community. I said, okay, let's do webinar. I talked to my people. They said, okay, fine. Because it goes from interest to consideration. Should we talk about you? Then there's purchase and there's post-purchase. Why is post-purchase important? You see, the truth is that an existing customer is easier to get to do a repeat purchase 9 times easier. So you have to think of how, like one of my clients is they do mattresses. And one day they did a campaign. They did a campaign whereby they could do revamping your old mattress. No issues. Revamping your old mattress. And so he showed me the database. I mean, they had lots of data. I now said, so what are you guys doing with this data? And he was like, well, I said, no. I said, you know that this data can create a loyalty scheme for you? And he said, how? I said, if you send each of them to do a referral and that you give them 5% of the sale, and this is their code, what do you think happens? And the MD was like, he had never seen it that way. Because you see, we must, in our strategy, we must look at how do we get repeat customers? How do we engage? So don't make everything a transaction. Sometimes in B2C is a transaction, but I remember there's a lady that we used to buy. I mean, she has a shop. And I was telling somebody, I said, the first time I came here, this lady was just warm. Oh, did you just move in here? I said, yes. Oh, okay, on this same street. I said, yes. Oh, okay, that's good, sir. Welcome. I know. And once I drove past there, I went there and, oh, she saw my wife. So my wife went in and she came out to also just greet me. And before you know it, we got hooked on this shop. It became our go-to shop. Why? Because she wasn't just interested in purchase. Post-purchase and repurchase is critical. I think I can skip this, but this is one of the things you need to have. It's the market analysis. You know, is it profitable? Can you benefit and all of that? For those that get the slides, it's there. You know, so I don't know. Any questions? I wanted to make sure I keep this under 1 hour. Any questions? But before we log off, I don't know if Dr. Lubodi, maybe you have anything to say. Any insight or any advice? Dr. Lubodi is somebody I respect so much. Oh, okay, it's not on this call. Yeah, sorry. Oh, madam, do you have anything to say? Then also, I would also invite, I don't know, Mr. Mr. Bachi, yes. Thank you, ma. Thank you, madam. I noticed. Thank you, ma. I don't know if Pastor Bachi, do you have anything to say? Thank you for joining us from way, way far.
No, thanks. Just nice to sit back and just be in a listening mode. I would prefer allow the people who questions ask their question. If there's no question, then perhaps one could say a word or two.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you have any questions, but I hope this was any questions or something that you felt should have been addressed. Any questions? Okay, I can't see any questions in the chat box. Okay. Yes, Kolawole, yes, you can unmute.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. This is not a question, it's just to appreciate the person that made the presentation. Although your name was not shown, I don't know your name. The presentation was quite insightful, and I've been a salesperson for like 5 years. Though I'm a technical person converted to a salesperson. But a couple of things were highlighted which were completely appealing to me. And it's just like driving me back to the board to completely reassess myself in a brutal manner, like you said. And you have added value to my life. This is greatly appreciated. Just to thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay. Thank you, Yomi. Thank you for that feedback. Thank you, appreciate. Okay. Ibrahim, Pastor Abachi, in case you want to say one or two things, so that we'll just thank you for using your data. Thank you. I mean, everybody will have you. I really appreciate. Just like Kolawole said, it's something we had planned, but we were busy for a week before. And I told the team, I said, anyhow, so the information started on a Monday evening. And well, I'm appreciative of everybody that joined at short notice. Thank you.
Well,
my name is,
I know.
Yeah, Tony Briggs. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Continue, sir.
Okay, no, I noticed that quite a lot of people are indicating that they would want the the slide, the presentation. I mean,
Yes.
since this is not a
Yes.
paid event, would you just issue the slide just like that, or what follows thereafter? I'm just curious.
Well, okay, no, we'll give out the slides.
Okay.
We'll give out the slides. It's not.
Okay.
It's like it's a CSR thing. We also have like for next month. These are the programs we're having for next month. So this particular one, it's part of our legacy projects. This is part of our legacy project. So we would give the information. So it's not.
So the subsequent trainings, they are paid trainings.
Yeah, these ones are paid for. Yeah, these ones are paid for. What basically we do, we have a bit of, we also do implants. We also do implants. We also do implants, which basically is what we do. But we just decided to, okay, what do we give back? And sometimes some organizations, budgets and all that, and those are the things what we do. Yeah, noted, sir, noted.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So yes, yes, Olubumi, you can unmute and please. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to believe you are Dr. Briggs. You've done a terrific work here. Absolutely a good use of my time. I just learned about the program. I think that was yesterday on Instagram, and I called one of your team members, and he sent me the link. Fantastic presentation. Okay, I'm in the real estate sector. Been in the sector for about like 10 years. And from some of the previous areas of learning that I've undergone, I realized that companies nowadays, work from let me say work from the answer to the question. What I mean by that is they ensure that the product is what aligns with what the market wants. In that way, I mean, you could see so many other companies follow that kind of model. Apple, Amazon, name, I mean, a number of them. All right. So how would you, just shed a bit more light on, product design in a way to effectively achieve good sales success as an organization and as a team?
Okay. You see, the truth is this:
Thank you,
sir. The first fundamental is that a product has to be validated, and who validates it? The market. I'll give you a classic case. Recently brought on board to do some things for a drink manufacturer. And the guys were like, oh, we'll do this, we'll do billboards, we'll do this. I said, this is a new drink. So do you know, guess what we did? I mean, it was just a test run. We looked for where there was traffic. We went to Ebano, we went to the mall, and there was another supermarket my other person went to, was somewhere around the Aja axis, but they have traffic. And guess what? Because the big firms were like, okay, you're not on our customer list and all of that. So guess what we did? Outside of the supermarkets, we had just a small kiosk. The drink was there and we were doing testing. Do you know what happened, Olubumi? Virtually everybody that tasted it, that liked it, went in and bought it. So the truth is this: in real estate, where you say you are, now what is the things or what is the dynamics changing in real estate? Is this: you need to understand one of the trends in Nigeria. Currently, the median age in Nigeria is 18, which basically means that we have a young population. Now, do you think a 30-year-old who wants a house want to buy a 4-bedroom flat? So those are the dynamics that are changing. So one of the things, there's a concept we use, which is called design thinking. So what does design thinking look at? Number one, what is the pain point of the customer? What are the aspirations of the customer? So when you know a bit of these two things, you begin to say, okay, what will this product address? How will it help? Like now, there's a company that does track They do auto trackers. And there are so many people that do auto trackers. But I sat down with these people in a retreat and I told them that, you see, you need to understand this. Why would somebody buy an auto tracker? Safety. I said, but do you think it's just safety? No. I said, it's not just safety. It is recovery with ease. So, and the MD said, what do you mean recovery with ease? I said, if somebody knows that if I have this auto tracker, because you see, the truth is this, when a car is stolen, there's an auto tracker, they'll tell you, we've tracked the car. The car is in Niger State. But the truth is that, do you want to go to Niger State? So it's with the police. If you ask, we're about 24 of us here, who wants to deal with the Nigerian police? Nobody. So I said, MD, if you have a cordial relationship with police and they know that if I use this tracker, if eventually my car is stolen, don't worry, you can. They don't mind paying at a fee. So what am I saying here when it comes to product design? Number one, and this is where research is key. You must, there's something about product design. You have to adopt the design thinking methodology. What does that mean? It means that when you come up with a product and the market is not accepting it, don't beat yourself up. Throw away the product, design another product. That's the main thing. So number one is through research. You know, I talked of access to information. Through research, what is the pain point? What is the aspiration? I know a particular mortgage bank. I mean, they're doing very well. Why? Because they built a reputation. They don't even do mortgages for those Banana Island Ikoyi houses. They do mortgage for the Bagada Axis and some other Magodo. Just why? And they have delivered. Why? And the guy says that they found out. Now, why was I talking to them? When the MD said something, he said, Mr. Briggs, one of the things, and Bumi, you agree with me, one of the hardest people to recover loans with are HNIs. Who are HNIs? High net worth individuals. Why? Because before you can collect the loan, they know the governor, they know this commissioner, they know this chief judge. So he said that they sat down and they designed a product for people who they felt, because they did the research. And they said, no, we won't go for these people. We'll go for this. And they listed out the criteria because the repayment of these people are more guaranteed than those other people. I don't know if that helps you a bit, Bumi, but in product design, it goes back to research, it goes back to the pain points, it goes back to what are the kinds of solutions. So when you come up, because in real estate, it's the same thing. Everything is evolving. It depends on the market you play. It depends on what people want. I know a particular house in Banana Island is a smart house. I mean, it is a full-blown smart house. So the truth is that, yes, they can afford it because that's what they want. They want gadgets, they want this, they want remote sensor. So the key thing is every product that is successful is driven by the aspirations. And now I'll close with this on your question. Demands are two types. There's what is called conscious demand, and there's what is called unconscious demand. I'll give an example. I was in Morocco, and they said, oh, Mr. Briggs, and I was looking at it, and so they had a drink. I didn't want to take anything carbonated. So I asked for this drink. I said, what's in this drink? He said, oh, this drink has, and the guy said it in French. My friend interpreted it. And guess what? He said this drink had this. Then when he mentioned that they also add detox water to it, I just said, that's the drink I want. I hadn't taken it before. But once he said detox, I said, health benefits. I wasn't planning on drinking a drink that had detox. But once, and that's the same thing. So when you design a product, you must look at the need that the customer has and the unconscious need that you know this will be beneficial to the person. Those are some of, I don't know if that helps you, but those are the things I've seen around product design. Yeah. Any other question? Thank you so much, sir. Any other question?
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. I was taking notes actually. I listened to every bit that you said. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Really
and I'd like to get to know the mortgage facility or
we'll take that offline. If you send a message to
all right, thanks.
Number, you would yeah, thank you so much. Okay, wow, thank you so much. Really
Thanks so
appreciate
much.
the time. Really appreciate the time and all that. I just want to say a big thank you. For us, this was more like a bit of a test run to try.